Hello and welcome to Those Forking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, TV, movie, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And today we're going to be diving into a discussion about our favorite fictional couples, our least favorite fictional couples, and our most controversial fictional ships. So that's going to be really fun. I feel like this is kind of a continuation of our discussion about our most toxic men we're in love with sort of discussion, which we recorded just a little over a year ago now. So that'll be fun to kind of, dig into that from another aspect, our favorite fictional couples. I had so much fun putting together my list. I don't know about you.
I was just, it was so easy for me. So I was just like, yep. I do have some new ones in there, and I feel like my list changes on like the flavor of the season. You know, like whatever you're watching, whatever is top of mind. So it could change in a month or so. Yeah. Mine are pretty, I think, solid forever choices because we haven't discussed this yet, but I could definitely see new ones being added and such as we go on. But before we get into that, we have so much Snap Crackle pop culture news today. Yes.
It's going to be an enormous Taylor Swift segment because I've been dying to talk about so many things for so long. And just yesterday, September 24th, Taylor Swift broke to the internet by being at the Chiefs game for Travis Kelce.
Okay. Listen, I'm like only one Taylor Swift thing, but now I'm like I couldn't wait to talk about Taylor Swift at the Chiefs game. Oh, what?
Oh, I was gonna say, can I preamble it with how this kind of started? Because I already had it on the news doc before this happened.
Yes, go on, because I didn't
Travis
believe this was happening.
Yeah, well, I already knew about this. I had put it on the doc weeks ago before we went to Forks because Travis Kelce had shot his shot with Taylor Swift, basically. The story is that he gave her a friendship bracelet with his number on it.
He tried
and
to.
kind of really tried to, but he suggested, that he'd want to hang out, basically, is the gist of what I'm getting, in that he put the ball in her court, in that he would love to spend some time together. And this was all, swirling rumor. And then yesterday, all of my Twitter feed is pictures and videos of Taylor Swift up in his box with his mom laughing and having a great time at the fucking Chiefs game.
So did you know who Travis Kelce was before this all went down?
Why would I know who Travis Kelce was? I know no football players. Absolutely none.
I agree with that because I also did not know who he was, and I when it first started being rumored that he kept talking about Taylor Swift, and I'm like, oh dude, come on, who are you? I had no idea, and I just I didn't know who he was and how big of a football player he was, and who his brother was. It did. When I saw his mom,
who his brother was. Who's his brother?
When I saw his mom, I got the Super Bowl from last year came drifting back in my mind because the only thing I really cared about were these two brothers on opposing teams playing against each other for the Super Bowl, and Travis won the Super Bowl last year against his brother.
I didn't know about this. Wait, that's why everyone was talking about that's why there was that picture of the mom with the mashup.
Yes.
Eagles and Chiefs jersey on Twitter. Oh, that's so fun.
I know. So that's I did know, but you didn't know because you didn't really care who they were. Alex
I didn't even know.
Is a huge Eagles fan. So last night I get home from Disneyland and it's 10 p.m. and I literally sit on the couch for 2 hours just
and Taylor Swift is an Eagles fan.
She's from Pennsylvania, where the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, you don't have to be an Eagles fan if you're from Pennsylvania, though. I
well,
don't care about the Giants at all. Nothing.
Well, the Eagles they're fly Eagles. It's a huge like cultural state thing, I guess.
Yeah, but it is in a lot of places, and that doesn't mean that you have to like it.
True.
Or have any interest. She has a jersey, Natasha.
I sat, but hold on. I sat on the couch for 2 hours just consuming all this TikTok. Like literally, I looked up. I'm like, wow, it's midnight. I've been here for 2 hours just watching Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce TikTok. And like Alex looked over at one point and he's like, is this just your entire timeline right now? Just Taylor Swift? And because he's like also dropping little tidbits to me about this dude that I had no idea about. And anyways,
didn't believe my whole Twitter feed all day.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that like she seems like to like football the way that I like football, in that if I knew someone on a team, I would also root for their team. You know, I saw some fans of the Eagles being like, how dare she betray us just because of a guy? And then I saw another lady who was like, well, he must have good dick. She's betraying her team. And
who cares?
Like, you know what? You root for the people, you know, and it's about the humans on the team, not necessarily the place the team is from. At least for people who are casual fans or just there to be support.
Yes.
And like, throw someone I know on a team, give me the jersey, and I will be there cheering for them, just like she was.
Yeah.
So I have no reservations with her switching allegiances on teams for a guy that she's having a good time with. But there was so many funny memes on Twitter yesterday. I was having the best time. Like on every writing break, I was just over there scrolling. I loved this. I loved this meme of like all these people in like a presidency office like hovering over a computer, and it was like all the girlies watching football right now for Taylor Swift. Oh my god. And yeah, they broke the internet. Like it was just everywhere. Taylor and his mom, and then making jokes about how like Taylor Swift is best friends with any love interest's mom within like a week of meeting.
Yes.
It was very funny. And then there were all these like invisible string things. Like she had taken a picture during the Red tour, like, you know, one of the meet and greet pictures with a kid who had a Kelce jersey for 87. And oh my God, what's happening? Sorry, my phone needs to be put on silent. And there's a line in like Mary's song that's like talking about how in old age, like you'll be 87 and I'll be 89, but it's I'll be 87 and you'll be 89, so you'd have to switch it around for that to kind of work. But anyway, and that's when you came in wearing a football helmet and said, okay, let's talk, is relevant kind of in Stay, 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 which is Stay, Stay, Stay is a song projecting like her happy love story ending instead of like someone walking away when things get hard. So that one was cute. I found that one fun.
I love the memes of like this is USA, like this is America. We've
Miss Americana is back.
That, or it's like we found our allegiance from the Brits. Because she's just been dating Brits for years.
Yeah, I mean, she's filed her independence from the Brits. There was one really funny tweet that was like this crazy lady, not crazy, this like really intense lady smiling and being super excited. It said, she's finally as a man that doesn't look like the ghost of someone ravaged by tuberculosis in Victoria, London. I put it in the doc because I thought it was so funny. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that was really fun yesterday. What a cultural phenomenon. Taylor Swift being at a football game and her next rom-com unfolding before our eyes.
I have more thoughts because this.
Oh, you have more thoughts. Share them.
I was literally like in my own fairy tale last night. Like I was just watching everything go down, making like assumptions, like being like, oh my gosh, like I feel like they're perfect. Because if we think about it, she's only been dating artists and actors for the longest time. And there's something that's been missing in her love life. And it's that like,
athleticism.
no, it is the competitiveness, because she's always in.
Competitiveness?
Yes, because Taylor is, you know, she's number one in the world. She's the best at what she does. And when she dates people who are also in the actors world, there's never like a number one, maybe besides like Meryl Streep, you know? And Travis,
Leo,
on the other hand, is an athlete and knows that competitiveness, and he has been number one. He is number one. So like I think they balance each other very well in that aspect, because I feel like with Joe, there was a lot of jealousy or holding her back and not wanting to be in the limelight. And like, here she is, like
they're in
with
two
someone who
different
is used to
venues
that.
of entertainment, which is nice. Like I see I think what you're getting at. Like they don't compete against each other. They have their own spheres where they're number one. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a nice aspect of it. Like they're completely different worlds. Like if you see the dudes in the NFL talking about it, you sent me a video last night of these dudes being like, you better treat her right because you're going to get 15 songs about whatever you do wrong and you're representing all of football.
That was an interesting
really funny.
conversation. I saw someone else talk about that as well, being like the narrative around Taylor, like just those guys. It was kind of refreshing watching as they're like, oh, better be aware, she's gonna like make songs about you. Then it was like on him instead of on her.
Yeah,
like it was on him to treat her right instead of like, oh, be careful about Taylor Swift. And that was like, I love to see that narrative kind of turn itself.
Katie says, okay, but I don't appreciate this relationship bringing sports into my Instagram algorithm.
I agree.
There's so many jokes about Swifties now, like, gonna be interested in sports because Taylor Swift is dating someone on a sports team, which is really funny. Honestly, y'all, I think we're really rushing them though, because this is like a first interaction. Is almost, it feels like, obviously they've been talking, but like this is their first big like sighting, and it feels very early.
It does. It feels it feels a little bit like Tom and Taylor in a sense, where it was just so much at once.
Public.
And then like it fizzled out real quickly.
But honestly, it feels like Taylor's so big right now. Anything she does, she either does nothing and stays in her room all the time, or she does things and just makes peace with the fact that everyone's fucking watching. Like she wants to be out and about, and to be out and about is to be in the fishbowl, and she's welcoming him into the fishbowl with her, as she's stated in the past here.
Yeah, he doesn't care, and that's something, you know,
he's
that
kind of embracing
lacked.
it. He's like, I signed up for this when I asked her out. So, and it's a promising, hopefully, start. Like, supposedly, they bought out a restaurant in Kansas City last night so that they'd have the entire place to themselves to get to know each other. So that's sweet. And very much like a rom-com novel where like the love interest is very wealthy. Like, I'm gonna buy out the restaurant so we can spend quality time together with no one around. Okay, so there's a lot of news to get to, so I'm gonna keep moving here, but this one in particular I found really interesting, and honestly surprised they haven't done it sooner. USA Today is hiring, or has now hired, because this was like 2 weeks ago, a Taylor Swift reporter, because there is just so much demand for the news about Taylor Swift constantly that they were looking for an energetic writer, photographer, social media pro who can quench an undeniable thirst for all things Taylor Swift with a steady stream of content across multiple platforms. Like, should I have auditioned for this role?
Yes, I think this would have been perfect for you.
Oh my God. I'm our Taylor Swift reporter. All right. There's more Taylor, but we're going to mix it up here with some other news. There are going to be Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, which is the second book in the Fourth Wing series, midnight release parties, which is really exciting to bring back. I was kind of touching on this idea in my Fourth Wing reading vlog that this feels like the first time in a long time where we're all universally excited about a release, like really universally, like not just in the book community, like outside of it, everyone is excited. And it has that kind of Harry Potter Twilight gleam to like the release, it's that big. And I was wondering what your thoughts are on these release parties. Did you ever go to a midnight book release party?
Yes, for no. Why am I blanking? The second short life of Bree Tanner. That one.
Wow. June 2010.
Yep, I missed Breaking Dawn because I wasn't a fan yet, so that was the one I could go to. But that was it, really.
Was it good? Well, how did you feel about it?
It was just kind of low key. It was like everyone.
Okay.
I feel like it was like in the midst of all the excitement, but like towards the end where it was kind of fizzling out. Yeah.
See, I didn't have people to ever go with me to these release parties.
Oh, I went by myself.
The Harry Potter years. Yeah. I was not in a place where I like would do things by myself yet. And I was, like in middle school and high school through like the Harry Potter years. And I didn't even know about the release parties because there wasn't the internet to tell me the same way, like I wasn't on the fan forums. I didn't know that they existed. I didn't find the podcasts until the year that, like right as book 7 came out. So I didn't know about these things. But anyway, and then Twilight, like I wasn't aware as they were coming out, and Breaking Dawn was coming out as I was finishing Eclipse. So I didn't even know that there would be a release party. So I missed all of that. And I don't know how I feel about going to a midnight release party, but I love that they're happening. Like I love that camaraderie around reading is back up and running in such a communal fashion. I think that's beautiful. Like the release party that I feel like I went to was Kath and Fangirl going to the final Simon Snow release party at midnight. I cried reading that because I felt like I was getting my second shot at like going to a release party for the final book for Harry, So I feel like I did do one, but I didn't. It was just reading. Next on the news here.
Wait,
go ahead.
Across these release parties are with Rebecca or?
So they're not. Okay, so Rebecca is doing a tour and she will be at one of them, but I think it's in New York. So she'll be in New York City, but the tour tickets sold out in like 2 minutes. That's how excited everyone's about this. Like the tour tickets for a book tour sold out within minutes at all these different stops, and bookstores that she's not going to be at are doing release parties, to show excitement about the book and bring people to the bookstore. It's a really good excuse to celebrate and maybe sell more books so that the bookstore does better, so that's really cool. But Iron Flame comes out November, I want to say like 9th or 12th or something, the closest Tuesday to those dates. Yeah. Okay. Great news on the strike. The WGA has reached a tentative agreement with the ANTMP. Is that the right initials? I always say them wrong.
AMPTP.
AMTTP. Damn it. I thought I had it that time. So that is so exciting. I'm pumped. And hopefully that means that SAG is going to be able to come to an agreement soon. And finally, I think we hit all the news. There's one more thing I wanted to quickly talk about. Taylor on her Instagram story was urging fans to register to vote. And from that story, she garnered 35,000 new voter registrations.
Yeah,
and that's
that's
115% increase of new 18-year-old voters from last year and a 22.5% increase overall, which is amazing.
Just like the power that woman has, like that 35,000 new voters is what can sway a presidential election. If you think about
it's phenomenal how much power she has to make a difference. Oh, I forgot. In all this pop culture news, we had some like hardcore Taylor Swift news. So she also Swifties broke Google the other day when Taylor decided to drop the vault title tracks by dropping like 30 million different puzzles across Google.
Oh yeah.
Everyone spent the day trying to like decode all these puzzles, and some were just like fun puzzles, but some were the names of the vault tracks. And there was this one track that could be lust or could be slut, and there was just so many funny memes about it on Twitter before it was announced, like if it was going to be lust or slut. There was like this cartoon where like there's a fork in the road, and one was like a magical happy ending castle, and one was like a dark forest, and that one was slut. The happy ever after was lust. And guess what? The track is slut. I'm so excited. It's like quotations marks slut, and it's from, you know, the period where everyone was really having their like, oh, Taylor Swift dates every man, she's such a slut sort of era of pop culture society, which was a sad time.
Yeah, it's the what 2014 Taylor Swift would have probably never would have
probably
put
what?
that. She would have never put slut on her track list, but now she can. She doesn't care.
Well, now she also has a lot more distance and perspective from it and can put it out without feeling some way about it, because she probably had some PTSD about even talking about it out loud, because you draw more attention to it. And it just, we weren't, I feel like the general public wasn't ready for it yet. But the other tracks are Is It Over Now? And the next one is Now That We Don't Talk, which is interesting because they kind of flow right into each other. Is it over now that we don't talk? And then Say Don't Go and Suburban Legends. They all sound very in theme with the story running through 1989 to me, so I'm very excited to hear like the extended version of the story. And there's also going to be a 1989 Target edition with an extra bonus song that we don't know the name of yet. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to have to get a Target edition.
Did you also see last night that Travis Kelce changed into a suit that was a 1989 painted wall or something? Like what?
Yeah, I saw it. And then they were in like a getaway car. Yeah, I know. A lot of Taylor coded stuff. I saw it all. All right. We've been talking about this for a while. We are going to move into our what right now. But before we do, also the Chiefs won by 31 points, which backwards is 13. All right. Before we move to what right now, we want to take a second to thank all of you listening out there. You are the reason we can do this show. We are a completely listener-supported show, and we are so grateful for you being here. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, we would really appreciate if you click the subscribe button for free so you never miss an episode. If you hit that like button to help us out, leave us a comment. If you're listening on one of the podcast listening apps, we would love for you to follow us for free on those apps so you never miss an episode. And if you want to support the show in an even bigger way, we have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/those4kingfangirls, where you can support the show and help us be able to put our all into this every week. We have lots of fun perks. At the $5 level, which is called Team Jacob. We do Fangirl Tea Time, an extra half an hour show every single week where we talk about like more personal things going on in our lives and some deeper topics that maybe are like a little too close to home to talk about on the main show. And we also have a $10 tier and a $15 tier where you can be, you can fill out a form to be a guest on the show. We do Fangirl Bonding Zoom hangs with our team that's called Team Polis Bananas. Oh my gosh, yes. The $15 level. And we love our community over there. Like we really get to know each other, which is really nice, and I just absolutely love it. So if you're interested in joining our community over there, their link is in our show notes, and we greatly appreciate you being there and supporting the show. Again, we couldn't do it without you. And I just wanted to mention also that you can, if you want to be a patron, you can now what is it called? Subscribe annually, and you save 16%. So you save like a month and a half worth if you want to do the annual subscription, which is cool. All right. What right now? Natasha, what are you reading?
Whew, caught me right in the middle of a yawn. I'm reading A Soul of Ash and Blood by Jennifer L. Armentrout. It took me a while to start the book because I found out that it's a retelling basically of the first book, but from the guy's point of view. And so it's very like Midnight Sun. It's very what the one that about Kale, right? That one. That was a prequel. No, that is a misconception. The one about Kale is not a retelling at all. It's a completely different story, and it has a lot of different characters that are main characters. Tower of Dawn. It's not a retelling at all. So it's basically like our main character has to go to sleep for a while, and it's basically in she might lose all of her memories, and it's him retelling how they met and everything from his point of view. So like it's a good refresher, and I am enjoying it in that sense because I just forgot the first book. But I was hoping for something new and fun, but it's fine. We're going back. So I'm like, this is a good audiobook book. It's not, I think if I were to actually read it, I would be like, I just, can we move forward, please? But I think like it's a good refresher if you don't remember the first one, because the next books are like going to be the end of the series, and it'd probably be good to have a little refresher before going into that. But I mean, I am enjoying it because it's very interesting. The characters are very different from where they were in book 1 versus what this is book 5. So
I just want to clarify, since you threw some false shade on Tower of Dawn here.
No, that's what I've heard.
I know, and it's wrong. It's completely wrong, and it's so frustrating. People just like skip it when it's a completely like vital part of the story. Kale is not around in the 5th book of the Tower of, what is it called? The Throne of Glass series. This is where he is, but like it's not even just about Kale. He's one of like an ensemble cast. The main character is Yrene, and it's so fucking good. It's very worth reading. Everyone read Tower of Dawn. All right. Even if you don't like Kale, because as I've stated a million times and people just continue to be like, well, I don't like Kale. I'm like, I hated Kale with a fiery passion. Okay. And this book is so good. It is one of her best books. It is up there with Queen of Shadows and Crescent City and all that shit. Tower of Dawn is spectacular. Okay. I have been reading Georgie All Along again. I don't know if y'all remember. I started Georgie All Along a really long time ago and got like 30% of the way in and like was distracted by a lot of other things going on. I was reading Cassie's new book, Swordcatcher, which I only have in ARC form, which is like very big and heavy. So when we went on all this traveling, I started reading Georgie All Along again. And this book has been the slowest burn for the romance aspect of it, and it's why I was going slow, because I want more romance. And now I am in like the sweetest, like, this romance is so fucking sweet, and they are, you know, there were sexy times, and it's just been adorable and wonderful, and I am now like having the best time. And I just looked at the percentage and I'm like 70% of the way through. Like, damn it.
I do love a slow
done.
burn. Was it like super slow, but like were there like little kernels in there, or
You
did
know,
it just like
the the vibes are The Notebook without the toxicity. So, you know, like, it's like The Notebook. I picture the guy to look kind of like Ryan Gosling in The Notebook, where he's like, he's very straightforward, but he's not like very chatty until like they get to know each other, you know? And then he starts being more forward about like talking in general. He's very quiet in the beginning, and it's very frustrating. I want to shake him. But he's really good with his hands and is like really strong. He builds docks and stuff, and he, you know, had a troublesome youth, so he has like a reputation with the town because it's a small town, but he's turned his whole life around in the last 10 years, and that reputation from high school just follows him around, and he's kind of estranged from his family because of it, because they were like didn't want anything to do with him. But now she's there and they're so cute together. Anyway, I'm excited to finish that, and then I'll go back to Swordcatcher because it's sitting on my nightstand now, neglected, because I want to finish Georgie all along. What have you been listening to? I feel like we should do kind of circle back to Guts now that we really know it, because it's all we listened to on the 4-hour drive there and back to Forks.
Yeah, I mean,
what is your favorite song?
Okay, my favorite song is Logical. I really love the chorus, like 2 + 2 = 5, and the very end, logical.
Okay. Love is never logical.
Christine and I went on a hike, and we stopped listening to that song before we went on the hike. And it was just on logical, like just repeat in my mind as we were walking for like 2 hours.
Literally, that happens to me all the time. If I stop a song in the middle, I will just keep singing the end until I hear it. Like, I need the finished loop. And it's redonkulous. But my favorite on the album is Love Is So Embarrassing. I have listened to that a million times. And I love a lot of them. Like, I also love, obviously, I Want Him Back, or is that what it's called?
Get Him Back.
Get Him Back. And I think my least favorite is probably Grudge. I kind of skip it.
Yeah, I was like kind of shifting between that one and like Teenage Dream. I put Teenage Dream down, but I don't know.
I just hate the title Teenage Dream, because we already have a very, very, very vivid image of Teenage Dream, and that is Katy Perry's album Teenage Dream, which was a complete banger. And I think it was a mistake to call it Teenage Dream, that song.
I think so too. I don't think she even says it in the lyrics.
She does. She's like, I'm sorry, I couldn't be your teenage dream. But I think she should have called it 19, because she talks about how she's 19 over and over again. And that would be an easy title. There is no song that we know so big in pop culture called 19. You could have taken it.
Yeah, and then everyone would have been like, 19 years old. This is my song.
Yeah,
like 22.
Well, it's not like a bop. It's like a ballad about sad things.
I mean, it would have been like 15 then.
Yeah, it would have been like 15. But there's this cognitive disconnect with it. Like, when I see the name Teenage Dream, like, I cannot think of that song, because I know it's a reference, Shotzi. Yeah, like, I thought about that. Like, where's my fucking teenage dream? But I guess a lot of her fans missed Katy Perry's Teenage Dream, but that album is so big. I feel like it would be like calling a song Sgt. Pepper's Sergeant Pepper's. Oh my God, I'm blanking on that name right now. Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Heartfelt Band. Oh my God, Lonely Hearts Club Band. Oh my God, I hate when this happens to me on the spot. Yeah, I feel like it'd be like calling a song like a name of a Beatles album. Like it's just like that's how big that album was. If you go to that album, so many of those songs were like huge. And there's a song Teenage Dream on it. Like, you make me feel like I'm having my teenage dream. It was huge. Anyway, I have a cognitive dissonance with that song. I just can't, like, marry it with the sound that it's giving me.
I have an update. My friend Kayla did get us tickets for Olivia Rodrigo in LA. And I'm very, very, very excited.
Cool. When are you going?
The 17th of August.
Oh, wow. Okay, next August.
Yeah, it's far away. But she got the pit seats or pit general admission. So I'm very excited.
Cool. I just like didn't have the drive to get tickets for Olivia Rodrigo. Like I'm just not. It's like it's not Taylor Swift for me, and I don't want to. I don't care enough to like pay that much money.
I when she was getting tickets, I was like having second thoughts, and I haven't even paid for them yet, so I might be like maybe not, because there was someone who shared a video of her live, and I'm like a little scared of like watching her live. I don't know if that'll not be as like good,
Yeah, well, this happens with a lot of artists when they're first, starting out doing like these big live shows. They're just not as weathered in terms of like using their voice for that long while they're performing. And it took Taylor, time to like hone that craft. But when you're there versus watching it on TV, it's a different thing. Like,
very true.
'Cause I remember feeling like when Taylor was performing on TV in the early days, I felt like I wasn't getting the same feeling as when I was there live, like it was great live. And then when I was watching on TV, I was like, her voice doesn't feel as strong. But now, she's mastered it to the point where she's strong wherever. Like somewhere around Red, she came out with, her voice got so much stronger because she worked on it so much.
Yeah,
and it takes that time and experience to even realize that you need to work on like the cardio aspect of it with all the breath control and stuff. So
yeah, it's insane.
She'll get it.
Yeah,
It just
and it's
might
not like
take
the
some
first
time.
show too. It's like towards the end. So.
Yeah. But live, it's different anyway. Like, because when we watched Olivia Rodrigo on the VMAs, even, it's not as strong as when she's singing on the track because of the same thing. She's running around, and it's just not something she's been doing for years. But it's still going to be really entertaining in person.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Should we move on? Do you have anything that...
We can move on. We don't need to talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not saying Olivia Rodrigo is not great. I think she's fantastic.
No, no. I think I
Do you know what I'm talking about, though?
I do know what you're talking about, and I think like it does take a lot of time and practice to be able to get to that point, and like it'll just be another tour where she'll move herself in that direction.
Yeah. No, her songs. Lara's saying that her songs are really hard. Wait. Am I saying your name wrong? Is it Lara? Did we already discuss this? I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. But yeah, she said her performance of All American Bitch was great, I think, and her songs are really hard. They are. There are a lot of like yell talking.
Yeah.
For a long period of time.
Really hard.
So, but she'll get it. It's just going to take practice, like we're all saying, if like everything. Like doing it in that sort of environment where you're just continuously moving and singing and performing. Okay, real quick, Natasha, do you have any products you've been using this week?
Yes. Okay. I ran into Patrick Starr again, and I bought his one size primer right before we went to Forks, and my makeup stayed on. It was like I sweated so much during that hike, and it was still on my face. And I am very happy with this one size primer. Okay. So if you guys, I remember we had that conversation about primer. This is a great one if you are looking for a new primer. But Patrick ran into me. I ran into Patrick, and he makes one size. Okay. So that is his product. And, he is going to add me to his PR gifting list, and I'm so excited. And he remembered me from the Barbie premiere, and we just had a lot of fun chatting. And he was just so complimentary of me, and I was just like so taken aback. He was so sweet, and yeah, I'm just happy to like always like he has great products, so. You guys
That's
should
awesome.
invest.
That's very exciting. Yeah. Very cool. I don't have anything really to discuss on the product end. So we're going to move on into our main discussion today. We're going to be chatting fictional couples, which has been on our idea doc for a while, but one of our patrons also suggested fictional couples, and I was like, okay, it's time. It is time. So first, we're going to go through our favorite fictional couples. Natasha, do you want to kick us off with one of your favorite fictional couples and why you love them so much?
Yeah, I'm going to start near like the end of my list. And that is going to be Mulder and Scully from The X-Files. 9 seasons of... are they going to get together? I don't know, but just having this amazing chemistry and these like little kernels dropped in here and there, and then they do ultimately get together. And me as like a 14-year-old was just living when I rewatched the show, and I just love them, and I'm going to rewatch it again. So I'm very excited. And they were one of the first couples that I started watching on YouTube, like little edits about, because I was like, oh, I need more of this. And it was so weird because the show ended in like 2002, and 2009, I'm rewatching it because the new movie was coming out. And, it was a whole new world for me. What about you? What's one of yours?
Well, speaking of little edits, so I have on the bottom of my list, if we're going up, I've got Jack and Rose from Titanic. They are just a classic, like, ship core. They are the ship. They went down with the ship. Like, they are OGs here. And I think they have so much chemistry together. I think Leo and Kate have so much chemistry together. I watch edits of them on TikTok all the fucking time. They know exactly what to show me.
Are you talking about Jack and Rose, or are we talking about Leo and Kate?
Okay. I'm talking about Jack and Rose. Like, that's who I'm envisioning like Leo. Oh my God, I'm mixing them up. Okay, I'm talking about Jack and Rose, but I see edits of Leo and Kate. And the reason why the edits feel so poignant are because of Leo, because of Jack and Rose, you know? Mm-hmm. So I just love them together in any capacity. And I love how they bicker and how like dedicated they are to each other no matter what. And I just love everything about them. I could watch them. That's, you know, they're the heart of Titanic. They're why we love that movie so much. So
I like when I love the award show stuff when she won her Academy Award.
Yes.
And she thanked him, and then he won his Academy. Oh, this is so good.
Yes, I know. It's on all their like red carpet little moments. I love so much. Those compilations on TikTok just make me so happy. Because despite all of like the nonsense with Leo dating 25-year-olds, no matter how old he is, or dating less than 25-year-olds, they have such a strong friendship, and it just makes me feel better about Leo.
Yeah.
As a human being.
Yeah. I just love, like, one of my, this is my favorite pastime is shipping people. I don't know why or how it is. Just, I think because we are just so, maybe such like hopeless romantics, and being able just to live vicariously through these people's relationships is just like, chocolate for the soul. And I don't know where I came up with that, but
It's like chicken soup for the soul, except chocolate.
yeah, exactly. And like I said earlier, like I feel like my list changes here and there, and as I grow, and there's just different relationships that hit closer to home. But like this one couple is very new, but I hadn't felt this like heart pounding, because that's my favorite feeling when I watch two characters fall in love. It's just like, oh my gosh, like this is actually happening. Like I'm in there with them. Like I'm having these feelings alongside them. And when I watched Charlie and Nick fall in love together in Heartstopper, I hadn't felt that in a very, very long time. And like their first kiss
You're just
scene,
so giddy for them.
yes, exactly. And they're both just adorable and sweet. And it was very interesting for me to watch like Heartstopper next to Red, White, and Royal Blue. And just to see how very differently I feel about both couples on screen, because I didn't read Red, White, and Royal Blue, and how much like I just gravitated towards Charlie and Nick.
Well, to be fair, right? This is a YA Heartstopper.
Yes.
It's in high school. It's all very innocent and heartwarming and first times. And, Red, White, and Royal Blue is very sexy. It's very much more like the steamy sort of like hate to love feeling, where this is like the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Nick and Charlie. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They
and like
are
the
so
second
pure.
season, they're just adorable. And I don't know, I do think Charlie and Nick have a bit more, like the actors themselves have a bit more chemistry than the guys from Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we got enough time. Like, I think it could have been a show and we could have really felt it. But since it's a movie,
You're right.
It's all smashed together. It's really, now that we're getting so many shows, watching a movie adaptation of a book can be really frustrating because we know what we could get. And,
Very true.
And we are missing a lot of moments because it's all in a movie. Yeah. But totally, like when you're watching Charlie and Nick, you feel like you're like, it's real. Like it's so, it's built so well. It's written so well. And they are so good.
Laura says the author of Heartstopper is Ace Arrow, and I love her interpretation of love stories. Her books are amazing, and I didn't know that. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that. She's fucking killing it.
She is.
She's only like 28. She wrote the show. She created, like, I'm just so impressed with her. She's amazing.
Okay, Christine.
All right. The next on my list is, well, they're kind of at the top. I don't have my list in order. Should I order this? Or should I just say this one? Okay, this is a huge one for me. I'm just going to say it. Monica and Chandler. The most fun romance I feel like I've ever seen play out on a show where you didn't expect this to be a romance, you know? And they just had so much chemistry together. They were so funny together. The reactions to the rest of the cast, the rest of like the cast of characters to their relationship is amazing. If you haven't seen Friends from like the start, it's hard to appreciate it in the same way. The build of Monica and Chandler, and like obviously nowadays when you watch Friends, it has its problematic aspects. Like there's some things that, you know, just don't fly and make you really uncomfortable, but like those are there. I would say those are few and far in between compared to like the amazing relationship moments between like Monica and Chandler. Like they start at around, I think the wedding is in season 4 is when Ross marries Emily, and that's when we start the Monica Chandler journey. And it is fucking, season 5 is amazing, season 6 is amazing. Like these are the highlights. Like 4, 5, 6, 7 are like my favorite seasons of the show, and it's because Monica and Chandler are like the heart of the show. And
Yes.
they are both like the kind of like Chandler's like the awkward, like socially awkward, makes jokes to mask his uncomfortableness all the time character. And Monica is like awkward in that she's like very intense. I feel like I relate so much to both of those aspects of their characters, and seeing them find love is amazing.
I think there's something about primetime TV where we have all those episodes, like sometimes 30 to 36 episodes in one season.
Yeah, it's like 24 episodes per season.
Yes. That it was just so special to watch some of these relationships unfold like so slowly, like because they had to do it that way because they had to keep people interested and keep them watching, and give like little kernels here and then pull them apart, and then you're like, oh my god, no, and then draw them back together again. And sometimes it was very frustrating.
But it wasn't like that with Monica and Chandler.
No, it wasn't.
Rachel and Ross. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think Katie just said she's like, to be honest, I love streaming, but I miss watching episodes week to week, and I do miss that. So, but I didn't get to watch this week to week. I binged it, and it was Gilmore Girls, and it's Luke and Lorelai. I like, everyone's like, oh, which person for Rory? I'm like, I didn't care about Rory, okay? I only cared about Luke and Lorelai because that was everything. And then they finally kiss in season 3, right?
At the end of season 3, and it is amazing. That episode is my absolute favorite. She's opening up the Firefly, and like the comedic, like the physical humor is so good in that episode with them both being like so giddy and so like awkward about their like pending relationship.
I just watched a full like edit, I guess, of season 1 of Luke and Lorelai, and I forgot how much tension they had in that season. Like,
oh my god, like, how could you forget? It's constant. Yeah, shots. It's so satisfying because it's been building for so long. And we're definitely gonna like do in-depth discussion about Gilmore Girls eventually, so we won't go too deep into it, but yeah.
Laura says I don't miss the structure of episodes during TV, like how they wrote around the commercial breaks and skippable plot at some points. I definitely agree with that, and I do just love the conciseness of like a 12 episode, or I guess even 7 episodes, but I do wish most things were around 12 episodes.
I want 12. Yeah 11 or 12 is a nice number.
Yes.
But
but I just sometimes that time did make those relationships a bit more sweeter, and I liked how they would introduce the characters and we would get to know them very well for like 2 seasons, and then they would start something.
Yeah, I mean, on the same idea here, like the waiting week to week to watch a show, like I'm watching Elementary though, and this is murdering me. Like this is the slowest relationship of all time, and it's killing me. Like the slow burn between Quinta's character and, oh my god, I forget their names on the show, and the love interest teacher. What the heck are their names?
I don't
It's
remember.
the show. Janine and do you know the guy's name?
No.
Can't remember his name. Okay. Well, Janine and the guy, the other teacher, like Quinta gives us like a kernel just when I'm about to be like, I can't do this anymore. You're hurting me. And like, she knows that she's doing it. And like, then at the end of season 2, we're finally like, we're gonna get it. And then she pulls it away again. And I'm just like, I can't handle this. Gregory, yes, Katie, thank you. Okay, yeah, Janine and Gregory, like I want them together so bad, and it's like it's burning me having to wait so long. So like, and I love being able to binge and just like eat it all together. Like Gilmore Girls, I did not watch that each week. I watched it binge, and like I, as is, was like, oh my god, they need to get together.
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
I don't know how
that
I could have
was
stood it.
long.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, for 3 years. Oh my god.
Even then, like it was just so wishy-washy, and it still was until they reunited for the end, and they finally got married.
They did not get married until the fucking remake. Natasha.
Yeah, that's what I
don't know
meant.
if you remember. Okay,
That's what I said until they whatever
I thought
the
you meant when
reunion
they
show.
reunited. Oh my god.
Time moved differently before streaming.
Katie says, yeah, I know. Like, the good thing about Gilmore Girls is what the formula they use to keep us not like murdering everything because they're not together is that when Lorelai is happy in her love interest, we see Rory like struggling to like fall in love, and then when Rory is happy in her love interest, Lorelai is struggling, so they go back and forth there. All right, let's get off of this and move on to the next one on our list. Is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess because we just did Luke and Lorelai. Okay.
You have
Next
8
on
and
the
I
list.
have 6, so you need to combine
So
people
I'll
or
go
take
again.
someone out.
Okay. I'll go again. Well, I don't want to take anyone out. I'll just go faster. Okay. So I absolutely adore from Schitt's Creek, David and Patrick. I think their relationship is so precious. I was so giddy the whole time that they were getting together. I love their banter. They're just amazing. It is like such a happy making relationship that I never wanted to end. It was simply the fucking best. And Natasha, I don't think you've watched Schitt's Creek, right?
I never watched it. Yeah.
Oh my god. You should watch it. I mean you have to watch it. It's so good. But like it's one of those shows that you have to just like give it a second because upon literally I had to just give it more than one episode, but like the first episode was like, what is this? and then you fall in love. But yeah, David and Patrick, so cute together. And then I'll do another one because I have way too many. I have Emily Dickinson in Dickinson and Sue, which like the third season of Dickinson kind of let me down. It was kind of all over the place and I didn't finish it. But seasons 1 and 2 of Dickinson are perfect. And watching Emily Dickinson and Sue's relationship, it's just everything. I love it so much. And if you haven't watched it, they're fantastic, especially if like you have any interest in writing. I just was so inspired constantly by this show and Emily and her writing. Like you should definitely, it's on Apple TV Plus. Never mind.
Never mind.
It's a really good show though.
They're just like walking a line over here.
We are walking a line. All right, you want to go?
Yes. Okay. These are my first, I guess, book characters. And I remember reading Silver Flames and being like, oh my God. Like, I really think Akabor kind of just like made Feyre and Rhys kind of stale for me because I just didn't like that book. And then we got A Court of Silver Flames. And we got Nesta and Cassian. And Cassian, I love Rhys and I love Feyre. And Akamath is so good and just a good twist. But a
good twist.
the mating bond stuff, like that is
okay.
But when we got Nesta and Cassian, and it just the two of them, it's just so feisty and fierce, and it's very grumpy Sunshine, and typically like the guy is grumpy, but in this case it was Nesta who was the grumpy one. And I just love Cassian. I even like rereading Akamath right now and everyone talking about Cassian, and I bringing this back to Taylor Swift, I saw someone relate Cassian to Travis Kelce, and that just made my heart very warm. But that he's like very Cassian-esque. I don't know. I love the two of them so much, and
yeah.
Watching it unfold was so good.
Their romance has such a satisfying payoff because there's so much build for it. And I honestly think they're the best love scenes that Sarah has written. Like they're you're so emotionally tied in those scenes too. Like the romantic scenes have like the spice, but also like the emotional pull and weight to everything that's going on with them together. And you really feel that in all of their interactions.
Yeah.
Like there's so much weight to like what's happening between them. Like it means a lot, and it's so important because Nessa's never trusted like this before, and I don't know, she's showing this tenderness that she's never expressed before with him, and it's all so beautiful. I've been rereading it.
Yeah, I just it's like that hope that I have when a complete stranger comes into your life and completely changes it and you for the better, and it's like a fairy tale that I wish would happen to me. What's next for you?
For me, I have Tessa and Will next. They are everything, and if you haven't read The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare, you gotta read it. They just have such an effervescent relationship for me. Like, I think Will was the first book boy that, I fell in love with. In literature, I don't know if you could call Edward a book boy. He's not. He's a music boy. Will is a book boy, and I fell for him so fast. And Tessa, I related so much to Tessa, and I just feel like they are so sweet, and I love that we get to see them like as parents in the more recent books. Like I love seeing their relationship through these different stages. I love seeing Will as a dad, and he is just the sweetest, most fun. Anytime he's on screen, I'm just like all smiles, and I say screen because I see it like that when I'm reading. I'm sorry. Anytime he's on the page, I'm just like giddy that Will's here, and he says like the most amazing things all the time. I love him. And then the next one on my list. Oh wait, should I say the next one or should we go back and forth? Do I still have too many, or you have two left? Do you want to go?
I have two left. Another like book relationship that I still absolutely adore and I really want to do a reread is Rose and Dimitri. And these two, it was the whole forbidden
Teacher?
Hot for Teacher, forbidden love aspect to it. And I think I was like 19 when I read it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And she is just so spicy, and everything she says is so fun, and the way like she is always testing him was just so fun to read and experience. And then in a couple books, a lot of like shit goes down, and then your heart just fucking breaks. I feel like I hadn't felt like that in a long time since I had read New Moon and Edward Leaves, and then I was right back there with those feelings with Dimitri, and just the journey for them to get back together is so good. Fucking love them.
I don't know if I should I take, this is actually on a different list of mine. Should we talk about it now or no?
Yeah.
Wait till the other list.
No,
okay.
I think we can hop around.
Okay, so I have them on my least favorite ships list because I never liked Dimitri.
You do?
And I loved Adrian. Yeah. And I thought Adrian and Rose were so fun together.
I mean, I liked it too, but I don't know. I loved. Maybe older me might feel it differently, but I still love them in the TV show that came out last year.
The TV show made me feel a little better about Dimitri, but I just felt like he was always really serious, and like he was like your classic at that time, like Emmett like himbo-y, but
That's
not quite as
true.
funny.
Yeah.
He was very serious. and I just didn't feel as endeared to him at any time. Not that I hated him, but like as a couple, I didn't like feel anything for them together for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But after, obviously, Adrian is with, oh my God, I'm blanking on her name.
Oh,
oh my God, what is her name?
I never read those
Something
books.
with an R? The Alchemist. This is terrible. I love these books. This is hurting me. Does anyone remember her name from the Alchemist books? Fuck me. All right. Well, you guys know Adrian and what is her name?
Sydney.
Sydney.
Shots
Thank
at
you,
Sydney.
shots. Oh my God, that hurt me. Adrian and Sydney are great together, but Adrian and Rose were so much fun, and I was shipping them really, really hard. All right.
I never got into the spin-off series, and I don't know if that was because I just didn't like the two of them.
You might have just been feeling like, oh, Rose isn't in it, so.
Yeah, because I loved Rose. I think I felt like the two of them balanced each other pretty well. I don't know.
Yeah, you get to know Sydney, obviously, reading those books, and you grow to love Sydney, too. So.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very cute together. Sydney's like a very Hermione character.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Should I do my number 2 here?
Mm-hmm.
Is Izzy and... Oh, wait. They're not my number 2. Oh, I should just do these two together. Okay. So I have Izzy and Simon next. I just love them together, and it's a long journey. It's a long road to the top if you are side characters falling in love.
You have 3 Shadowhunter characters. 3
I'm
Shadowhunter
sorry.
ships.
My next ones are Jason Clary. I don't think I shipped anyone as hard as Jason Clary at the time where I was reading Jason Clary. I was obsessed with them being together, and like the incestuousness like overlaying their relationship just made me that more intense about them because I knew it wasn't real. And I was like, they have to be together, like constantly just thinking about how much I want them together. And I love them. I love them on every page that they show up on. I'm like so giddy still. I'm like, oh yeah, they're here, they're here, they're here. Everybody shut up. Jason Clary, you're here. Like,
I think I really loved Izzy, but I didn't ship her with Simon for
who
like
did
a
you
very
ship her with?
no one.
Oh.
I didn't really care who she ended up with. And so I didn't really have a lot of thoughts on the two of them. Like I did love Jason Clary. I don't know. I've just never felt as deeply for them as I did probably like Tessa and Will and
them in City of Lost Souls though. All of their like cute moments, and like I can't even remember the stuff they talked about, but I just know I loved it so much. I feel like they talked about like cosplaying together and like all this like weird fun stuff that was so cute. Like didn't they have like fantasy names for each other?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. I need to reread, obviously. Yeah, Katie says yep. Yeah, it was great. Okay, do you want to do your number 1 though?
Yes. Everyone literally the first thing that everyone said in the chat when we started this were like, where's our once upon a time representation, Natasha? You know what? Emma Swan and Captain Hook are my number 1s. I have been rewatching the show. I have not rewatched this show since it first aired, and it kills me that I haven't been able to talk about it, but I am very much enjoying just this like silentness of rewatching it. And I'm on season 4. It's Hook and Emma's season, and I forgot how good they are. And it's another one of those things because Hook doesn't show up until season 2. And like the way he shows up, I don't know, like I was rewatching, I sent a clip to Christine, she didn't say anything about it, but Hook is very much like Rhysand. Like it is a very like Rhysand Feyre type of relationship. Like he's so snarky, like he's so fun. His eyeliner gets me, like his outfit. He's just like Colin O'Donoghue, who plays him, is like he's just so good as this swashbuckling pirate. And like his like the literally some of the stuff he does is the things that like we read in books, where like his eyebrow raises and he says something like very silly that you would think, but it just comes across so real and like that it makes sense. God, they just have so much sexual tension. It is literally the best. And she just pushes him off for so long because he's fallen harder for her. And then like finally she relents. It's just so good. I'm just I never watched the last season, so I'm excited to kind of try to get through it. It wasn't very good because everyone kind of left. And I'm excited to watch the series finale because they do all come back for the series finale. But it's just it's my favorite ship of all time. I didn't realize it until I started rewatching it again. But they are the best, and it was so many seasons of the two bickering together, and yeah, I just love the show. It's so good. It's the best for me.
I feel like, so you send me that clip and I just like, I feel disconnected from them. I can feel the networkness of the show. Like in every clip of it I just like, it disconnects me from like the characters, you know, because I'm just like, oh, this budget.
It is very like the CGI and all that crap is like so bad at some times. And I don't know. I think it's just my love for the Disney characters and the fairy tales themselves that just made me fall in love with all the characters.
Overlook all that. Yeah.
Because we are seeing characters interact with all these other characters that you had just wished and believed that, you know, they were all from the same world. But I think what's my favorite thing about the show, and I think for Hook and Emma as well, and for Regina, is the redemption arcs that we get with these characters, because they're like, Hook is an anti-hero, Regina's the fucking evil queen, and they all kind of come back around and start like being good again. And then, you know, they also have times where they fall away from the good, and it's just, you know, human life. And that's my favorite part of, even the good characters aren't good, and it's just a nice twist. Gray. I do think, as I been talking about this more with some friends who have watched it, like if this show came out, if it had come out now with the technology like The Mandalorian uses with the screens, and
be different.
And we had like a 12 episode arc instead of a 24 episode arc. Yeah. And the show did start following that. Like they started doing 12 episodes of like one arc and then 12 episodes of another arc, and it would be like two different shows in one season. I think it would really do very well if they came out with this concept again.
Yeah. My number one, I don't know if anyone predicted it. Someone said like, no, I won't even talk about it because I don't want to go into it right now. But my number one is Damon and Elena Delana, my favorite ship of all time on television. The build, the chemistry, the snark, the sacrifice, the brother drama, like so much payoff in this relationship. I just love it so much, and I haven't gotten to fully rewatch the show. Yeah, I started to rewatch and stopped a million times. I have to like really just give myself the okay to rewatch, because I haven't gotten to the Delana like sweet spot. I've been like the end of season 1, and I want season 3. I want it so bad. But there's just so much. There is just so much with these two characters because of the nature of obviously the 22 episode arc. And there's so much drama because of the nature with vampires, like so much morally gray. I love all of that, you know, all of the humanity discussions and like, can you be redeemed after being so terrible? And all of that shit is my favorite. And if you haven't watched The Vampire Diaries, we talk about it so much. Like, I feel like it's just so good. You have to watch.
I think like the difference between like the CW primetime shows and like ABC primetime shows is that it got like you could go a little further on the CW.
You go
network.
really dark. Yeah.
And it was more about like the relationship, at least for the CW for the Vampire Diaries, like the relationship, because there's so much of like Once Upon a Time is about the fairy tales and how they're all twisty and turny, and like you just get like little bits and pieces here and there, and it's just like, oh. But then with Vampire Diaries, they don't starve you of that. They give it to you like on a plate,
and
like,
they go everywhere. Like there's nothing that's off limits really. Like this will happen, and it'll be morally gray and fucked up, but we're doing it and we're gonna deal with it, and it's really fascinating and interesting to hear all these different areas explored, like all these taboo things. And I love that. Yeah. All right. Let's move on into our most controversial ships. Okay. Well, tell me one of your controversial ships.
I feel like I have too many out here. Okay. I have to start strong here. And that's going to be Hermione. Draco and Hermione, I will go down with this ship. This is my first fan fiction like foray that was very different from the books. Like this was like, I mean, I got into fan fiction because of Twilight, but when my friend talked about, she's like, have you ever like thought about Draco and Hermione? And this was me in high school, like my sophomore year. I was like, no, but now I'm intrigued. And then she just got so giddy talking to me about all these different stories. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. And this is actually during church camp, by the way. And I went home after church camp and she had sent me a bunch of links to read it. I just dived headfirst into Hermione and like, you know, retumbled so many different edits of the two of them together.
Retumbled. I forgot about retumbling. Reblogged, they called it.
Reblogged, yes.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like there was a weird, I don't know if you were aware of this, Christine, but there was and I have continued to still read Hermione here and there. And it was very hilarious at the time because I had never even read the Harry Potter books, and I was reading Hermione, and I was learning so much about the Wizarding World. No, fuck Ron. Katie says justice for Ron. I had never read the Harry Potter books. I was reading fan fiction, and I was learning so much about the Wizarding World through the fan fiction. Listen, they are very toxic. I know this, and I would never, I don't like, it's not, it is like something I don't think I would ever truly want, but for the fan fiction girlies, it is very fun to read how they get together. Because in my mind, it makes sense. There's a lot of hate there, and there's a lot of passion, and another redemption arc that I fucking love. I love a good redemption arc, and that is Draco. And yeah, and there was quite a resurgence in the last, I think, year or two on TikTok. There's this.
Sean says if it's not toxic and fanfic, I don't want it.
Exactly. But there was a resurgence on TikTok with Draco and Hermione, and I read the fan fiction. I can't even think about it. But it's this really amazing story, and it like tears your heart into multiple pieces. It is a lot. I can't think about it right now, but
right.
Yeah.
I feel like as far as those Potter ships goes, like I I never read any of this fan fiction, but like I like the idea of Harry and Draco better than I like the idea of Draco and Hermione.
Yeah.
I just, because there is so much angst toward Draco, like in the books, because we're really seeing from his point of view, and it would be so fun to have that come around in a romantic way. But yeah, I do like the redemption arc for Draco idea. I wish he got one.
Manacle.
All right.
That's the fanfic story that got really popular on TikTok about Draco and Hermione. A lot.
Katie said lazy. He's a wizard Nazi. But like, I feel like he's just doing this all for his dad. And he's like really young. And he doesn't like really believe in it at all. And I feel like he could be redeemed. Whereas like his father obviously is a full blown wizard Nazi, terrible human being. But his son is only like doing what his family has all raised him to do his entire life and doesn't really know any better. And he's starting to know better, which is why he's like subtly going against them. Like when when Harry is captured, he lies and says it's not. He doesn't know that if it's Harry or not, trying to protect him. Like he does these subtle things where we know that he doesn't fully agree with his family, and he can't kill Dumbledore. Because his heart isn't in it. He doesn't really believe it, and he just needs someone to show him the path out of the toxicity that his parents have entrenched him in, and the hate.
Well, and Narcissa does save Harry at the very end for selfish reasons, but
Narcissa's just doing that for his own.
But like, you do have to think of his home life and the amount of probably abuse he had to deal with as well to make him.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's a much more redeemable character than Jonathan from fucking Shadowhunters, who is Sebastian. He literally is like a demon human being. Like,
yes.
And he's much more redeemable than Snape. Snape is fucking dickhead. He's terrible. If in the books, he's so much worse than he is in the movies. All right, let's get off of this. Next, my controversial ships, like, they don't sound very controversial, but like if you talk to the fandom, nobody likes Jack and Kate together in Lost, which is like, I wanted them together so bad. Yeah, everyone wants Kate with Sawyer. And like, I appreciate that ship. Like, I have fun with it now when I rewatch.
Yeah,
but
it is fun. Jack
and Kate are endgame from the very beginning, when he's like, count to 5, and then I have to like let go of the fear and keep going. Like, every one of their moments is so iconic to me. Like when they're stuck in the net together and they have to like shoot themselves down, and I just like remember when they're in the shower together finally. Like, everything is so burned into my brain, all of their little moments, because I love it so much. And it means so much to Kate because she really, really likes him, whereas like with Sawyer, she loves him, but I feel like not in that way. You know, she like appreciates his trauma and thinks he's hot, but like with Jack, she's like, he's my like, I feel like she feels unworthy almost of that, and that's her journey, like realizing that she is worthy of love, and like loved by someone who is quote good. You know what I mean? Like, because she looks at herself as bad, and that's why she feels like Sawyer is her equal almost. Anyway, and my other ship that from Lost that like is kind of controversial is I fucking love Sawyer and Juliet so much. I think they're perfect together. It's so sweet.
I completely forgot the actress who plays Juliet is also in Once Upon a Time. Like, she's in season 4. She's the villain.
Elizabeth Mitchell. I love her.
I forgot. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I just, their romance in like the last couple seasons is my everything. Like, I just cried so much of like happiness with them together. I love them because they're both kind of felt like completely misunderstood all the time. And they're both, you just have to watch it. I'm not going to even.
I forgot about them. I want to rewatch the show now.
They find such peace with each other and it's beautiful. All right. Controversial ship. Give me another one. Hit me.
Jon Snow and Daenerys.
I love them.
I love them. So many people hated them together. Even Alex, when I was talking to him about this.
People don't like incest.
I understand that, but sometimes we have to put that aside.
At least they're not brother and sister.
Yeah.
She's his auntie.
Yeah, and they don't even know at the time, which makes it a little bit better.
I know, they have no idea. It's much more acceptable than fucking Cersei and
Jamie.
Oh God, why am I blanking on literally everyone's name? Jamie.
Yeah. When they got together, that was when I started to be like, I mean, it didn't happen until what, the second to last season, but that was when I was like fully into it. I was like, oh my gosh, I love these two together.
Love season 7. I love
season 7. Good. It's amazing.
Yes.
And like,
everything amazing happens. Slay. All the women are fucking slaying in season 7, and people hating on season 7 gets on my nerves so much. I'm like, what are you talking about? It was just season 8 that had some issues.
Yeah, season 7, it was a little rushed, but it was still so good.
Yeah, literally slaying. Shot says. It was like, because all these women went through so much hardship, and they were finally coming to a crest and like really embracing their power in season 7, and it gave me all of the empowered feels and all of the shivers like all the time, seeing them come to this point of confidence where they could actually do something about what's happening in their lives, and it was amazing.
Yes. And all the Stark kids were coming back together, and that also warmed my heart.
The Stark women.
Yeah.
I could not. Every season, I was like, I cannot wait for them to be reunited. It took till 7 or the end of 6.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hit me.
Oh, wait, though. Okay. Rachel and Joey.
I loved them.
From Friends. I wanted them so bad. Like, they were adorable.
I remember like voicing my opinions on this for the first time watching it, like on Twitter. Everyone was like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean?
I know.
I really like it.
I know. Well, like Joey was just like so sweet about Rachel. You know, it was his redemption arc, honestly, as like a romantic interest. He finally began to really like appreciate, I feel like, women in romantic relationships in a different way than we ever see him, and I loved that, and it gave him so much more depth seeing him, you know, be in love with Rachel and not know what to do about it, and kind of have to really do some soul searching about his life in a way that he never does in these seasons before it. And then that episode, season 8 finale in the Bahamas, is so much fucking fun. I love it so much. And I was so upset when she was kissing Joey and she was like seeing Ross, and he was seeing Ross. I was just like, this is so annoying.
Agree.
I really wanted them to work out.
Me too.
I know we wanted Ross and Rachel, but like Ross had his chance a million times, a million gajillion times, a million gajillion million.
Okay.
All right. Next.
Me and Henry Cavill. Controversial in my mind.
So controversial.
I just had to put it down here for the shits and giggles. Yeah, but I ship myself with Henry in my head.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was gonna say I ship myself with like Peter Petrelli, I guess. That's not controversial at all.
I know. I guess mine isn't either. I just had to put it down.
Do you want to hit a real one real quick?
I will hit it. You don't know this one, so
No,
I'll keep it light. In the show about Lord of the Rings that came last year, Galadriel and Halbrand. It was another slow burn all through the season. And I know it's never going to happen, but it was just so good. And they had so much good chemistry, and they're both very beautiful people. And it was very fun to watch this like steaminess happen. And then the betrayal at the very end. And I don't know, there might be stuff that happens because they killed off Galadriel's husband in the show. So she is single, even though she's supposed to be married to him for eternity, but he's no longer around. And I'm like, what does this mean? Are you changing things? I don't know.
Okay. All right. Real quick, stepping aside from the pod, outside of the pod here, I think maybe we don't do least favorite fictional couples. We just move on after controversial. Also, patrons, if any of y'all have anything specific that you'd like us to hit on tea time, we're still brainstorming a tea time topic. So if you have any ideas, hit us with them through the end of the pod here, and the chat.
Forgot.
And okay, I have a couple more controversial. Okay, so my next controversial couple is Caroline and Stefan. I ship them so much in the Vampire Diaries, and I'm so upset that they were an Endgame. I really felt like they were perfect together, and they were so cute together, and the fact that they didn't end up together and she had like random kids with Alaric was like very weird to me.
I didn't like it. I mean, I didn't watch the end of the show, but I wanted
Did you know
Caroline.
about the kids with Alaric?
I did not. I knew she had kids. I thought they were with Stefan though for some reason. I wanted Caroline and Klaus together.
You know what happened? I think the kids might not be Caroline's. I think they were like jumped into Caroline's uterus via like witch spell when his wife dies or something.
Oh,
it's so
right.
weird what happens. I remember like talking about her being Jane the Virgin. It's so weird. Anyway, okay, you were talking about you liked Caroline and Klaus. Like Klaus never got me. I never was fully on board with him.
Okay, but the thing about Klaus is that he is the villain.
Caroline.
That was weird. He's the villain, but literally, like, he will always save Caroline in the early seasons, and he's like the baddie bad, like he's the bad guy,
the
bad guy that you love to love. And the fact that he was so enamored with Caroline was my everything, and I just wanted them together and it made so much sense. But then he got his own fucking TV show and that never happened. So
he was so creepy and toxic to me all the time. I just like couldn't get on board. I really wanted Stefan still.
He is the pinnacle character who would be like, I'll burn down the world just for her.
Yeah,
and that's why I loved it.
All right, who's next?
I'll just share my last one unless you're gonna share
Okay.
two more.
I'll just share my last one too.
Okay. It's Raylo. I think you all knew this because they're my favorite ship of all time. I mean, outside of Captain Swan, like Raylo's number one, but it never fucking happened. Like it did, but then he died. It's just so fucking irritating. And I'll just live in my fan fiction world where they're together and all the fan fiction stories that come out. And it's, Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver in my mind that have now been published. And it was the best thing that had happened to me in cinema in a very long time. And it was in movie form and not in TV form. And it was so controversial to so many people because he kills Han Solo. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, he's hot and he will do anything to be, not anything, but he will do a lot of things to be with Rey. and they were made for each other in the universe. And it never happened.
I agree. I agree.
It was so good.
They just had so much sexual chemistry. Like, it needed to be broken. They needed a love scene, and they didn't get it.
And he had he was redeemed, like, because of her.
Yeah, I mean, he had his little Snape redemption, which is like we're not fully there yet.
Well, no, he did not have a Snape redemption. He literally came in after her and saved her.
I mean,
and
Snape
killed all of
Harry
his
Potter
Knights of Ren
a lot of times.
What?
Snape saved Harry Potter a bunch of times.
Oh, I guess you're right.
He did, but he was still a dickhead and murdered people and abused people and was cruel.
Yeah.
All right. I have two left, and I think the more controversial one is this one, so I'm going to say it. Okay. Alexander Hamilton and Angelica in the Hamilton play.
I agree.
Not in real life, but like in the play, I ship them so much. And this is my favorite trope, like the brothers trope. This is the sisters trope. And I don't want to pit her and her sister against each other. No, just like I don't want Damon and Stefan against each other. But I love Angelica, and her story is so compelling, and I want her to have her love. Like, he's her true match of intellect.
Yeah.
Katie agrees. Sam agrees. Yes.
I agree too.
Yeah. I just really wanted them together so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and everyone like who isn't like deeply entrenched in a Hamilton is like, that's terrible. Why would you say that? She's her sister. That's terrible that she thinks that. And I'm like, she met him first.
Right person,
She
wrong time, Katie
sacrificed
says.
her own happiness. Yeah. Yeah, right person, wrong time. All right. We are going to move on into Mary Kiss Cliff.
I took people from the list, but I didn't actually end up talking about this first one. I'm just real quickly going to say that one of my controversial ships was Black Widow and Winter Soldier, and I fucking hate Black Widow and Hulk. So,
I would have enjoyed Black Widow and Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier.
They get together in the comics.
Honestly, Black Widow and Captain America would have been fine. Black Widow and anyone other than
but Hulk. Why the fuck did they do that?
I know. It was so awkward and forced.
Yeah. Okay.
Sun's getting real low.
All right. Okay.
All right.
So, we have
Katie said that felt more like incest than anything else.
Yeah. No. Okay. So we got Black Widow, Caroline, and Izzy.
All right. I am going to marry Caroline. I love Caroline. I am going to kiss Izzy, and I'm going to push Black Widow off the cliff. Sorry. Oh, God. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
That's actually really upsetting.
That's very upsetting.
And way too real. But I love Caroline and I love Izzy too much. Sorry.
All right.
What about you?
I'm going to kiss Black Widow because I'm not fucking pushing her off the cliff.
Who are you gonna push?
And I also can't marry someone with my same name.
Oh my God.
I am. Oh, damn it. Okay. I'm going to marry. Oh.
Who?
I'm going to marry Izzy. That seems more of my type. And Caroline and I are way too similar. Like, and Caroline's a vampire,
Izzy's
so
not
she
going
can
over that cliff.
She she can survive. So I'm sorry, Caroline. She's getting pushed off the cliff.
Oh my gosh, she's been through so much too.
They all
women
have
been through so much. Oh my goodness. All right. Valid choices. All right, we're going to move right on into chapter chat. We have been rereading A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. We are at the fucking good part. Like, shit is getting so good. It's hard to stop reading. We read chapters 21, 22, and 23 this week. Oh, wait, this is the wrong song.
Like sometimes I can hear Cole, but sometimes I can't hear him in that song. It's funny.
We left off on a giant cliffhanger. She plucked the ring. The weaver stopped weaving, and shit got real. Okay? She has the ring. She puts it in her pocket. She goes to lunge for the door. The door disappears. She tries to get out the window. The window is sealed. So she starts to panic. She starts to feel cornered and human again, like so fragile. And then she has to remind herself she's not. She's a wolf when she's cornered. And she is going to fight. So she picks up the candle off the table and throws it at the wall where the weaver has all of these like bolts of cloth that she's weaved out of like human flesh and shit. And they all catch fire. And Feyre is able to run while the weaver starts screaming bloody ass murder that all her shit's on fire. And Feyre runs for the chimney and starts climbing up the chimney, and the weaver is being creepy AF and being like, did you think you could get away, thief? And like she's climbing up, and she's like in the middle of the chimney where she starts to have a panic attack, and she feels like she's with the worm again, and she's under the mountain, and she's helpless. And then there's this voice that comes up in her head that's like, stop, and it silences all of the panic that's eating her alive in this moment. And it's like, think, and what can you do to get out of this? Like, you're going to get out of this. Just think. And then she remembers that she's like, you know, has all these abilities, and she has super strength as part of these abilities, and she can do something. So she starts knocking the chimney with her fist and breaking bits and pieces, and they start to fall on the weaver who's trying to climb up after her. And this chimney is like full of fat from all the and oil from like all of the humans that she's cooked in the fire. It's disgusting. So she's getting covered in this oily shit as she climbs, and she breaks the chimney enough to get a brick, and she throws it at the weaver's face, and she's able to get out of the chimney and climb out. And then she starts jumping from tree to tree to get away as fast as possible as the weaver like screams after her. And then she eventually runs into Rysand, who is sitting there, and he's like, what happened to you? And he winnows her away back to the House of Wind. She lands in this house. Oh, yeah.
I just can't believe how casual he is about it.
Yeah,
like,
he's very casual about
like,
it.
Like, what? Were you not afraid for her? I don't know.
He's just like, what happened to you? Because, okay, as she's climbing out the roof is woven with hair, okay? Oh. Hair of the people that she's murdered and eaten. So like she gets covered in hair because she's all sticky with the oil, and she's covered in like cuts and stuff from the venture out of there. So she looks like she just rolled through tar and feathers, except more disgusting. And oh yeah, Katie said she literally gets tarred and feathered. Yeah, that's what happens. So anyway, she's back at the House of Wind, and she like puts the ring on the table, and Cassian's like, oh, holy shit. Like, you got it. And she's so pissed off in this moment and disgusted. She throws up because she's covered in like human remains. Armin is able to just like snap her fingers and get it all off of her, but she just wants a bath. And we learn that this ring was Rysand's mother's, and she's like, how did she lose it? And he's like, she didn't. She gave it to me for safekeeping, and then she took it away when I reached maturity and gave it to the weaver. And she's like, why? And he's like, because she didn't want me to waste it. And, you know, she had this whole evil plan that no one's worthy of her son unless they can steal it back from the Weaver and live to tell the fucking tale.
Wow, that's a toxic mother-in-law.
I know. So Feyre has passed this test that she didn't know she was taking. And he frames it as a test to see if she can use her power to track different items without like losing herself to panic, and she passes the test. So in that moment, she's just like, so stupid. This is such nonsense. I need a bath. I need to get out of here. And Rysand just picks her up and brings her back down to the townhouse and, you know, makes her a bath. What's it called when you make someone a bath in those days? No, I forget the word. Draws her a bath. Yes. Thank you all in the chat. Draws her a hot bath. But before he goes in, he's like, okay, well, what about your powers? I'm going to train you in your powers. And she's like, I think we'd tear each other apart doing that. And he's like, yeah, that's why it's going to be fun. And he's like, he mentions that priestesses have become like a warped version of what they once were. And she asks what he means by that. And he's like, try to penetrate my shields and I'll show you. She's like, are you fucking kidding right now? I'm so tired. I want to get in the bath. And he's like, just try. So she tries. She bangs up against his shield. She can't get through it. She doesn't know how she did it last time. And then he lets her in because it is a reward for trying. And she comes into this memory. Like he kind of opens a vault with the memory in it. And she immediately sees Ianthe on his bed naked, and she wants to leave, and she tries to get out, but he's locked her in the memory. And he's teaching her a lesson about Daemati here that we learn later, that a Daemati can lock you into their mind. So whenever you go in, you have to hold open the door behind you, or else you can get locked in and become a slave to them. So yeah, scary. So Ianthe is on this bed, and a second later we see Rysand being like, get the fuck out of here, get out, I don't want you here. And she's like, I know you, that when you see me away. And she tries to like start touching herself, and he like makes her stop with his power. And basically we learn that Ianthe is on like a savage hunt for power, and to do that she's like stalking powerful men and trying to coerce them into having sex with her so that she can house their child and become more powerful. And that priestesses all over have been trying to gain footholds of power in these different courts, and specifically I think like the winter court he mentions, and maybe the fall court, or that they've been like planting spies for a long time there, and that the self-righteous ones are the most dangerous ones. And like there are some good priestesses obviously, but there are a lot of corrupt ones. Anyway, so Ianthe is like wants to use him for power, and she gets up and tries to grab his penis, and he was like, never touch me, and breaks her hand. And then she's like, you'll pay for this. And it's just all horrible. And like if it was reversed, like I feel like as a society we look at this and we're like, yeah, that's disgusting. But then like if it was reversed as a man, you'd be like horrified that this happened, you know? And like this is because I didn't think about it this way when I first read it. I feel like how disgusting and scary that is. And Feyre's thinking about how scary it is afterward and how upset she is for Rysand. But like looking at it now through like the 2023 lens, like this just feels so much worse than it did at that time. Yeah. And then Feyre kind of like, you know, she's just thinking about how much Rysand sacrificed. Like he was going to kill Ianthe in that moment, but he let her live just because he knew she was going to be a problem, but he didn't feel right just like murdering her on the spot, obviously, because he lets her go.
This was also like 100 years ago, so it was 50 years before Amarantha came.
50 years before Amarantha. And then like Feyre's looking back and being like, he let Amarantha do exactly what Ianthe was trying to do to protect everyone he loved, and sacrificed himself in that way. So she's very upset for him at the end of the chapter.
Yes. She also surmised that Lucian, that Ianthe was doing this to
was
Lucian.
violated in this way. Yeah.
Yeah. because he did not like anything. Okay, chapter 22 is the next morning, and Moore is like lounging on Feyre's bed, and they're talking about like, oh, what do women wear in the mortal realm, because they're gonna be flying there. And Feyre's like, well, they're pretty covered with the like petticoats, and except for maybe, you know, their décolletage. And she's like, oh, that's very different than when I knew the mortals. Like,
Yeah, I love how she's like, that's different than 500 years ago. Like, it wouldn't change in 500 years.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because I guess, you know, women were fighting back then, and so they were not as covered, and now that they are. And so we get a little bit of Moore's backstory and not her entire backstory. Also, apparently, not apparently, Moore, Cassian, and Azriel, and I think Rhys all went out the night before and they were drinking. And she's all like proper and fine, but like Cassian and Az were like grumbly at the breakfast table.
She was like, I wonder what it'd be like to go out with them. Like, she wants to go out, which is like a whole step forward into like being more social than she has been in a long time.
Yeah. And so Moore talks to her about the women in the Court of Nightmares and how they were prized and kept virgins and sold off to men for the strongest alliances. And we kind of start getting an inkling of what Moore dealt with back then, and that Moore was born very strong, even stronger than the men in her family, and that she had feared what would happen when she had started her period, and she didn't bleed until she was 17, and when she did, the mountain shook. And
yeah, we still haven't seen what her powers are like.
I know.
Learned anything about it.
And but she feared having her period early because she knew, like, her cousins, that she would be stuck in a loveless or brutal marriage. And that also when everyone knew she was very strong because they could smell it, just like they could smell the High Lord air, which is gross. And so her family was obviously very happy when she came into her power, and she was like a prized mare, and we didn't really get any more of that, but we do get that Rhys and Cassian got more out of the Court of Nightmares, and that like Cassian risked his entire life. Well, Rhys would have just gotten a slap on the wrist, but Cassian would have taken the brunt of all of it if they would have gotten to him. And Moore is not going to the house because she feels like
she's not going to go to Feyre's house.
Yeah, she says she'll go when the mortal queen show up because she wants to see if she can see her past friends' faces in them.
Well, we learned that she was in love with one of them later on.
Oh,
like she had a relationship with one of their moms. Yeah.
Yeah, but she fears like she won't be able to hold back. I'm wondering if she fears that because of Nesta. So Feyre like wants to ask her more about Cassian, by the way, and I feel like this is her inkling being like, did Moore and Cassian have something? I don't know.
Yeah, because there's like this weird love triangle, but Moore doesn't love either of them in that way.
Yeah. But Feyre does want Moore to meet her sisters, and Moore's like, well, I think your sisters should know more about your story first. And so it's time for them to fly through the wall, and she decides that she wants to fly with Azriel because she keeps thinking about Rhys in like more intimate terms, where like she keeps thinking of his hands on her thighs, and everyone's like, what? Okay. And so Azriel picks her up and his shadows tickles her skin. I forget that he has those sometimes. And as they are making their way to the wall, as a mortal, like she could just, it was like a barrier and like they could just pop over it. But as a fae, she can actually feel the power of the wall that's separating them from the human world, and it's like crackling, and there's a crack in the wall, and then once they go through it, it gets angered, and it like she feels like it wants to try to close, but it can't because there is that crack. Okay, chapter 23. She realizes it's been 1 year since she killed the sentry in the woods that Tamlin sent. And so Feyre approaches the door. The boys stay back behind a glamour. The housekeeper opens the door and notices Feyre's glow and doesn't open the door even more, even though she does know who Feyre is. And Elaine appears. And we get a little bit more about Elaine. That Feyre says that Elaine was the most beautiful of them all. She's described, which I feel like a lot of people forget, that Elaine has golden brown hair and molten chocolate eyes. And I feel like so many people draw art of Elaine, and she's got blonde hair and light eyes, like very much feel like Aurora from Maleficent or something.
Yeah, I feel like this scene is the most I've ever seen Elaine take agency at all.
Yeah.
Like, this is the most she's ever, like, talked and took back the power from Nesta.
I think because when she becomes a fae, like what she thinks her life is gets completely ripped away from her. Like, Nesta doesn't necessarily, like, a lot of things are very different from her, but because we learned that Elaine is betrothed to a man, and because at first when they allow Feyre into the house, they sit down across each other, and Feyre asks where her dad is, and their father is in Neva, which is one of the largest cities on the continent, at a summit about the threat against the wall. And then Feyre then reveals, that she is maid, and retells the story of how it all happened. And Feyre's like, I need your help, and we need to bring the mortal queens here because this is all going down. And Feyre's like, no, find somewhere else. And Nesta, she doesn't want that. Nesta says that, and she doesn't want anyone near Elaine, and that they would be just like the children of the night, and they would be hated and
from society.
Scorned. And then that's when, and like, because Elaine is getting married in 5 months, and then Elaine pleads with Nesta, and she's like, well, there will be no marriage if we don't help them, and I think we can just clear out the servants, and their father won't be back until the summer, so it should be fine. And that she actually she is on Feyre's side in this scene, because she is like, Feyre has given so much of herself for so many years, and now it's our turn to help her. And I feel like they like this whole scene, like, we don't get the details of exactly what went down with the conversation, but like the first thing that Nesta says is, no, we can't help you. Not like, oh my gosh, all this stuff that you've been through because like you killed the deer that was going to feed the family, or the wolf that was going to feed our family. And it's just Nessa's being a fucking bitch again.
Yeah, of course. I know. And I felt really great about Elaine in that moment, and how she, like, because she doesn't like plead with her. She's like, no, there won't be anything. Like, this is gonna, if we don't do this, we're not gonna be around to do anything. And like, she stands up for Feyre. It's really nice. Like, in Silver Flames, we see Elaine, stand up to Nesta a couple times, and Nesta feels so weird about it. Like, she feels like it used to be her and Elaine against the world, and now Elaine's like taken Feyre's side. But Nesta's just put up walls and pushed everyone away from her. Like, she did this to herself. And this is just another example of how she like instantly pushes her sister away. Like, she's back after who knows what has happened to her, and she's like, get out of here. And I think like Elaine gets up to like ask the
the servants to go, because that's when
Yeah.
Fair was like, oh, they're all here if you want to meet them, because Nesta asked about Tamlin and what happened to them, and she's like, I was caged. And we also talk about Elaine's fiance and how Nesta doesn't particularly like the fiance's father, and that he's built this entire wall around
Their property.
And she's like, I don't trust him, but he'll die soon, so it doesn't matter. I feel like that comes into play, right? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I feel like we murder them or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
yeah, that's kind of where we end. We're setting up for the queens. Like, I think they say that, well, they'll dismiss the servants tomorrow. And Feyre's like, no, there's no time to waste. Dismiss them today. But that is chapter 23. We're in it. We're not getting into it. We're in it now. And it's all very exciting. That's going to be our show for today. We are going to go record Fangirl Tea Time. We are on Instagram at Those 14 Fangirls if you don't follow us there. And that's where we will let you know everything that's happening with the show. And you can follow us also on any of your favorite podcast apps, like we've said, for free, and subscribe for free on YouTube to get the visual version. And we will see you next Friday. Our podcast is edited by Alex Polis and Jake Needham, with music by Cole Jenkins and vocals by Heather Traska. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And we will see you next Friday. Oh my God. Bye.
Bye.